WTVQ.
Hi, I'm AJRoss, President and CEO of AJRoss Creative Media. Welcome to Creative Marketing on WTVQ. Every week we'll be discussing different topics and trends that can help market your business. Today I have Matt Ross and Carlos Vega, who are partners in AJRoss Creative Media.
Yep.
Hi, guys.
Good morning.
Seeing that this is the last show of the year, I thought we would go and look back at some of the things we accomplished and some of the lessons we have learned about marketing. And what do you think about that?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay.
I mean, there's definitely been a lot coming up this year. At least from a technological standpoint, there's a lot of changes on my end with updates to WordPress and Gutenberg. Gutenberg being like the big change that's been hitting WordPress lately.
So how did we use that with our clients' websites?
Well,
We haven't yet.
Yeah, it just dropped. WordPress just dropped the new update just this last week. So if you're using your WordPress and you're not updating it automatically, if you're doing everything manually, for now you can, leave everything as is and wait for your, for your programmers to take care of things. But you're going to have to talk to your programmers. They're going to have to do a lot of things to reshape how your site is coded in order to make sure that all your content stays public and
that's about the user's experience, really, on the, being able to edit your own website kind of side of things. It's going to really change that whole experience for them, except luckily they put in that version to go back to Classic, which is a lot more easier to use for people.
Right, yeah, they released a plugin so that if you do update, like, oh, don't worry, if things disappear, you can always go back to the original editor. And
Well, when you found out about that, you were kind of cringing.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely the biggest change to WordPress that I've seen, and we've been using it for 5, 6, 7 years, something like that. And the big issue is basically if you have certain plugins installed and you do this update, your content is going to disappear. So you just have to be really careful about making sure that all your materials are going to carry over from one version to the next.
Well, what we're talking about could be Latin to a lot of lay people, so what would you recommend? I mean, if they have webmasters or IT people.
Or call us.
Or call us at AJRoss Creative Media. Yeah, we do a lot of that. So.
Yeah. I'd definitely keep in touch with your tech people, your IT, because this is the big one, this is the big change.
It's essentially the same as, like opening your phone one day and the whole thing is completely difficult to use now. Yeah. Everything you're used to is just moved around everywhere. And, if you're using a website that allows you to modify it, a CMS website, content management system, that allows you to log into it and make modifications to your pages, that's what we're talking about right there. That area could just completely be different when you start to log in the near future.
So talking about the year ending 2018, Matt, seeing that we're talking about web design and programming, what differences have you seen this year that we've been doing for our clients?
Well, I mean, there are a lot of different things. One thing that we're going to maybe have to pay a little less attention to is Internet Explorer. It's going to be...
Yay.
Yeah, they're
rid of it.
They're actually kind of getting rid of their old thing. They're adopting Chrome's core, basically. They're going to be using Chrome's framework for their whole Microsoft Internet Explorer now. It's still going to be called Microsoft Edge, which is what took over for Internet Explorer, but all the default browsers are going to be using essentially Chrome.
Which would be great because Internet Explorer
sucks.
Pretty much made everything horrible. I mean, all websites just don't work right.
And unfortunately, like all your hospitals and a lot of, that's all they use. And we've had to program and do new websites, and
And it limits what you can do within a web
it's
design and
awful.
programming as well.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
because there's certain things it won't be able to read that inhibits certain companies from
Yeah.
having advantages in their websites that
Yeah.
they should have.
So this will allow us to really, hopefully, allow us to focus more on letting the designs that we want to do, letting that be granted out there on Microsoft systems.
Yeah.
Which is great.
So, Carlos,
So, Alan,
how was any thing you would like to talk about for the past year? I mean, you've been a busy man.
I've been a very busy
We
man.
all have been busy people.
Yeah. A lot of meetings, a lot of work. Thank God. It's a great time of the year. This used to actually be our slowest time of the year.
Right.
When winter hit, that's usually when everything went quiet. And for the last, I don't know, 3 years, ever since actually kind of when we moved to Sugarloaf, it has become our busiest time of the year.
Yeah.
A lot of rebranding, a lot of companies thinking about their brands, making things consistent, a lot of, looking at the new fiscal year and trying to figure out what they're going to do with their marketing budgets going into the next year, going into now 2019. There's a lot of stuff like that we've been really dealing with.
Yeah, I mean, we've been doing a lot of rebranding for companies.
A lot of companies are wanting to rebrand themselves, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
You have to evolve over time, and it doesn't mean a complete facelift. It just means, sometimes updating your brand, or like we talked about before, a lot of companies don't even have their logo in anything other than a small JPEG, which, as we know, makes it impossible to do a lot of marketing pieces that they need.
These are such important topics that, you speak to some people or even companies that we're going to, we're pitching now, and they don't have a clue. I mean, we're going to.
Well, they do, because they're bringing us in, because they know they need to update this. It's just they don't realize all the advantages that are out there for them, the things they can take advantage of.
Well, for example, we're going and pitching a company tomorrow. We're not going to say who it is, but we're pitching their whole brand and the way they can reach their clients and potential clients. And we did some research on their website, and it's a template.
Yeah, they were sold a
Template.
Custom website, but it's actually just a drag and drop template.
Why don't you explain what a template is?
For a lot of people out there that maybe started out their business, or they've used something like Wix, or they've seen things like this, it's just pretty much a drag and drop. If you think about a picture frame, it's like just taking out the stock photo that goes in there and throwing in a picture of your own. You didn't create the piece or anything like that. It's nothing custom, which seems like a great thing for a lot of companies. Or if you're really starting out, maybe you don't have the budget to do it or whatever it is, and you'll do a Wix site. But when it comes to template sites, there's a lot of limitations. There's a lot of things that can actually affect your company, even down to search engine optimization, functionality, getting the information out to your potential clients or your products that they're going to need. And those kinds of things are really limited by a template site. And a lot of times, they look fantastic when you're looking at the little previews, and then you start throwing all your imagery in there, and you're wondering why it doesn't look as good.
Right.
It's kind of like watching Bob Ross paint something, and you go to do a happy little tree, and it looks nowhere near like Bob Ross's.
Who's Bob Ross? Do you know who Bob Ross is? Matt?
You remember Bob Ross? You used to hang out with him back in the day, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah, he's a past cousin of mine. Yeah, right.
We watch him every night. I'm not kidding about that.
They made a new Bob Ross mug.
There is actually a Bob Ross?
Yeah.
Oh.
He was a famous painter, big afro. You never saw him on
You don't know
TV?
the guy?
I'm old.
Really?
No, I don't.
Old. He's from the 70s.
Yeah.
Bob Ross?
Yeah, you don't know?
No, I don't.
Wow.
Uh-oh. I think
Okay.
it's time for retirement home.
So what has AJRoss done as far as when we put together, like for big manufacturers? We've been doing a lot of manufacturers recently.
Yeah, and that's part of what I was getting to as well with the templates and all this before we got off on the Bob Ross
Who's Bob Ross? No, okay.
The main thing that happened is when you don't customize something, or you don't have that ability, you can't give your sales team or your people or your potential clients the experience they need to fully understand what it is you're doing. And what we do for a lot of our clients is, and speaking about this client we're going to see the other day and some of our past clients, we sit down with their sales team. We sit down and we talk about what kind of things their customers are looking for. What are their consumers, need as far as information to understand how to buy this product or how it works or how it integrates with one of their other products or something they already have existing. And we build our websites and our materials around that approach. It has to have the same approach your sales team would have. And that's what you don't get, and you're not going to get from any kind of template. That's what you don't get from just somebody that can design a website or somebody that just programs a website. They're two different mindsets.
It just blows my mind because your website is your main portfolio.
It's the heart of everything you do. You're driving all your traffic to it.
Even your clients, even potential clients, and these multi-million-dollar companies are like, some of them are just not keeping up, and that's
a lot of them can't keep up. They always say that, you take care of everybody else except yourself.
Right.
And that's when they start calling companies like us.
Yeah. And, we've been doing a lot of good stuff this year.
Yeah, we've, you can take pride in that kind of work because it's really helping them.
Yeah.
And it's giving them something they need, and it's, something that they keep coming back to us for.
And one of the funny things that we have heard, and I learned to come back to tell them is, not the Derek Jeter anymore, is that, our website, my nephew did our website. He built it. I said, okay, so who did he build your Mercedes? Does that make any sense to you?
Nah, I know what you're going for.
Okay, well, then we'll go back to the Derek Jeter. The New York Yankees could have had a minor league player, and they're all great players, come up and pay him $750,000, which is the minimum. Well, they could pay Derek Jeter $20 million and have 5 rings. So
we should have a book of Alanisms.
Well, it's okay.
All your analogies.
So what else do you want to talk about, guys?
Well, I mean, just kind of continuing on with that, just the importance of your website and taking care of yourself. Not only is it keeping up with the times, but when someone goes to your website and they see something that's outdated, they assume that you're an outdated business.
Yeah, perception and reality.
Absolutely. And talking about that, we've also been, manufacturers like to use videos to explain what they do and to show, and it's important. So, yeah. And we went to a manufacturer and they're showing what the building looks like. And anyway, we're about 30 seconds to break, so we'll continue this on in the next 30 seconds. But it's amazing. What the bottom line is, your client wants to see your product. They don't want to see.
Get down to it. Don't be all fluff.
Right. We'll be right back. This is Alan Ross from AJRoss Creative Media, and this is Creative Marketing on WTBQ.
AJRoss Creative Media is the premier marketing, advertising agency, web design, and social media company in the Hudson Valley. AJRoss connects their clients with prospective customers by generating powerful marketing and advertising concepts. Meet with the AJRoss team and you'll walk away with a new and innovative approach that'll bring your company to the next level. Contact the AJRoss team and set up a free consultation and get started with the best. Visit AJRoss.com.
WTBQ.
Hi, this is Alan Ross, and we're back. This is Creative Marketing. I have Matt Ross, who's Senior Vice President of Digital and Online at AJRoss, and Carlos Vega, who is an intern that we just hired as an intern, who's been here 22 years, and he's only he's...
Hey, I get lunch too.
Yes. Your interns get lunch, but he's creative director, and he's been with us for 22 years. Matt, you've been here 18 years?
Yeah, probably longer. It's been a long time.
Yeah, almost 34 years for me. Anyway, so we're talking about video before the break, and I've seen videos where people are looking at the machinery, or they say, "Well, here's our manufacturing facility. Here's the people." I want to see how the product works. I don't care about, if you have nice lamps in your, I want to talk and see how that product works in a short period of time.
And people have a very short attention span when it comes to online video.
Right.
You got to be direct.
Well, we also, when we try to sell to these clients, is that we have a login for some of that they don't want to see the average public or their competition. And when they're selling this product online, which a lot of people, you can, so you don't have to fly around, say, here, this is what we're doing, but here's a short video to see actually how this machinery works. And in about 30 to 45 seconds, they see it, and then you move on, I've seen videos 4, 6, 7 minutes, and it's talking about, we just painted our facility.
Yeah, it's good to do a video about the company or to give some kind of history on it, but like you said, you got to keep those videos short and succinct unless it's really giving details. You can do a series of small videos on how a product works, but if you're going to put 4 minutes into it, it needs to be towards people that really want to know how to do something or how to use that product, and it has to stay on track with that kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah, video is it's really important to have that juicy message. You know what I mean? Like video more than anything is someone is watching and is continuously engaged, so you have to feed them something that they want to see.
Yeah.
You can't let them hang
we
there.
used to go in and say, hi, I started in New York in 1974. I drove a cab. And they're saying, who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares?
What can you do for
what
me
can
and
you
what
do
your
for me
product do
now?
for me?
What I do when I do go in and when we do sell is I've, from being in New York and being a musician and working with, is that I was always used to working with the finest talent there is, which I'm very lucky to have in this room.
Yeah, Matt and I used to be used to that as well, and we started working with you.
Yeah, okay. There's a couple agencies, I think, looking maybe for people. Yeah.
I don't think they'll hire you, though.
So, also we're talking about videos. So once we make the videos, put it on their website, then what do we do with them?
Well, I mean, there's a multitude of things you got to do with videos. You got to make sure they're optimized correctly. You got to make sure they're set up for the right kind of quality for everything that's going out there, how it's going to be streamed. And then how are you using it? Are you using it within social media to drive traffic? Are you driving it back to your YouTube channel? Are you driving it back to your Vimeo channel? Are you driving it to your website? There's places within your website that it makes sense. If you're talking about product-based, then you want to have some kind of videos right there for people. There's a multitude of ways to use it. I mean, it depends on your kind of organization. When we're talking about manufacturing, it's primarily within your social media channels and your website with the product.
And of course, you want to put it on Facebook so it gets out to the world.
Yeah.
As far as content. And
Well, not just Facebook. I mean, there's your YouTube, your
Instagram,
Vimeo,
yeah.
all of it.
Right.
LinkedIn.
I didn't mean
whatever you're using.
Facebook. I meant YouTube. Did
Yeah.
I say YouTube or Facebook?
You said Facebook.
YouTube.
Yeah. You
So-
definitely have to have it there, and you have to have the right tags going behind it. Everything, even down to how you tag in the video, affects optimization. And that's, just how search engines are going to read it.
Right. Talking about search engine, we've seen a big change in search engine optimization.
There's always
too.
a change in search engine optimization.
So I know we've been doing it a little differently for our clients. Why don't you explain a little bit how we've been doing it a little differently than usual?
Well, I think Matt could even really talk to a lot of this too. It's, it's always evolved. When it first started really coming out, metadata was the main thing. It was that code that goes behind every page, and then it started becoming more about content, and then it became more about H1 tags and all this other stuff. But it's evolving again. And
Yeah. I mean, like you're saying, it started off with all the unseen elements of the web, all the code that people would put in the background, but now content is being viewed as the most important thing. And so, Google recently has been, really increasing their technology to understand the quality of your writing. So if you have something that's written poorly, Google will understand this. If you have something that's nice, very informative, is a good amount of length, they understand that, okay, you're a trusted resource, so they'll give you better search results. So the most important thing is to have good copy, good content, and they can even do that with videos now too. You can't just make a video that's nothing. You that's all fluff. You have to have quality video, and they can they can kind of, I don't know how they do it, but they can understand, when you're putting good information out there, they will give you that better ranking.
And they're starting to do a point system now going in 2019 almost. They're looking at a series of things that you're doing. Do you have an SSL?
Which is?
It's just a certificate that labels your website secure, which you can get through any of your hosting and attaches to your site. But that's something that only used to be required by anybody selling products. But now if you're collecting any kind of data, even a contact form, with almost every website has, you will be flagged as unsecure if you do not have an SSL for your website. They're giving points for that. They're giving points for content. And like Matt said, the right kind of content, because content has been king for about a couple of years now, but even more so than before. Site mapping, all this kind of stuff. And how is your website responsive? Meaning that it fits on any size screen that's out there. That's something that gets overlooked a lot. People will think just because my website shows up on a mobile phone means it's responsive or it works.
So we don't have to have H1 tags saying advertising agency, Hudson Valley, New York, Orange County.
Well, you still need the H1, but it has to be a readable, a purposeful headline. It can't just be, loaded up with all these key terms in hopes that they'll get picked up. It has to be, a quality sentence that a human would say, oh, okay, I'm getting purpose from this. I'm feeling like this is
and I guess
quality message.
Tagging is very important. And
You gotta tag your images and all that.
And we also getting it in certain areas, or what have we been doing?
Geographic locations,
is very important, and that's working for us. I know that.
But you have to know what geographic locations are good for you.
Well, that's when you have to hire an expert like AJRoss Creative Media, right?
Yeah.
So what else is going on this year? What else can we talk about? Some of the good stuff.
Well, maybe some of the things that clients and companies out there can do for wrapping up the season. Like something that we've been doing is updating a client's email signatures, things like that, with things like seasonal logos or closing times. Things
Happy
like
holidays, all that nice stuff. Yeah.
Right. Well, it's been a good year for us. I also know that in the coming couple of years, the economy is starting to slow down a little bit. It's still going great, but I always tell my clients, when you see a little slowing is when you have to even market better and much more. There's an old adage that in 1929, when we had the Great Depression, there were two cereal companies. One was Post, you've heard of Post, and one was Kellogg's. And when people jumping out the window, which they were, and Post said, look, we're not going to spend money in going out there. And whereas Kellogg spent more money than they ever did on advertising. And what that did was kept the brand out there, and it just, people felt so good about that brand being in.
Yeah, it's brand assurance.
And this, not going away, in bad times. It was there in bad times, and it's good. And when in good times, and even to this day, you don't hear a Post that much anymore. No. It's Kellogg's and that sort of stuff. So, it's not the time to stop when it slows down. It's time to go out there more.
It opens the whole doorway wide open for your competition. If you step out of the side, you're pretty much saying, hey, listen,
I'm scared.
It's yours.
Yeah, I'm scared, and
not even scared. It's just, you're just leaving it wide open. Just even think about elections. If you run unopposed, you're going to win.
Right.
Same thing. Yep. If your competitors decide to tuck tail and hide for a while, well, you're going to dominate the market.
Yeah, exactly. And so again, I'm not saying we're going in a recession or anything, but we have to watch and make sure that we're out front even more when it does slow down. So, and especially in real estate, in the Great Recession, which we used to do a tremendous amount of real estate. It got hit really hard. It was a different kind of recession.
Well, it's because a lot of real estate developers were going over the top with building.
Well, and also the banks really killed everything because they were giving bad mortgages.
But that's a whole other topic.
So, anyway, we're coming to the end of the show. I want to wish everybody out there a very, very happy New Year. And it's been a pleasure this year to be on WTBQ and talk about marketing. And the good news is we'll be back in January. Happy holidays. Happy New Year. Anything you guys want to say while we leave?
No, just
that
thanks for another great year and happy holidays to everybody.
And this is AJRoss from AJRoss Creative Media, and this is Creative Marketing.